Done with the second time that I've trained for the Dinnies, sorry, the Husafell stone. So this time I went to do some actual rock natural stone picking up, and it was definitely harder than I thought. So you can see sort of on my arms here, quite, wouldn't say severe, but noticeable bruising. So I'm gonna get some tape to kind of tape it up and be able to work harder, because I'm getting to the point where it's just I'm picking up the sandbags and it isn't doing anything. Like my head isn't allowing me to continue, because just touching the skin just makes me kind of recoil. So that is definitely something to look out for if you haven't trained it, and that sounds like a very obvious thing to look out for, but probably good to prepare for it. So I've used something called Savlon to speed up the healing. But yeah, just definitely getting used to the fact that natural stones are weird. So picking up a 140 sandbag for me is easy, right? It's like I can deadlift over 300 on mostly any given day. So that weight isn't hard, but having a stone, you just need to kind of like rotate it until you can find these like handles on it. And then even when you pick it up, a lot of it is you're not using your palm on it, you're using a lot of your forearm really to kind of like have that friction. And so if your grip is short, or if your grip is detrained, then that's just not something that you'll be able to do, because you just can't pick it up. So that is something that's quite interesting. It's definitely made me a bit more doubtful of how easy it is. So I've looked at a bunch of videos online about other people doing it. I've seen some people do like 160 kilo natural stones and a bit of a walk, and I'm just kind of like looking at their physique, and I'm looking at sort of, yeah, I can probably do that if I was there, or yeah, definitely harder. And I need to actually book Iceland. It's quite an expensive country, so I wouldn't want to go there and just sort of, you kind of in between two bits, because you kind of, if you go, you want to go there for the experience and not just kind of be like, okay, I'm going to go there and then come back. But then you're like, okay, well, at what point do I stop there? I don't want to do 5-star hotels because I'm not a trillionaire. So that's sort of it with the training. So mostly still like sandbag to chest. I was meant to do stone to shoulder. There was no way I was getting that 120 kilos to a shoulder. So I went to a really cool club called Bionic Branch Barbell, and they have a bunch of natural stones. The owner was super nice and just gave me a bit of help and a bit of kind of motivation, and talked about his experience with stones. I had a quite weird incident where I had the stone to chest, and I kind of just dropped it down onto like a tire and a mat. It bounced out of it and then it rolled towards a car, which was his car, and he was also right, like quite near, and I kind of just froze up and like, and I really thought it was gonna hit the car, have a huge scratch and dent, and it was gonna be super awkward. I'm gonna have to pay for it or something, but nothing happened. He was super chill about it. It genuinely was about like this far from the car, so I was quite lucky. So next steps in this training, I think, are adding a bit more zercher in. So one of the things that I've noticed is, if you're good at the zercher, like a lot of times, like I'll show you in this position, like you'll be in this position and like you'll get the stone here, and you think, oh, this is just a front squat. I can front squat, 220 kilos. But if you come here and then you just try and front squat it, like a lot of the problem is the fact that the stone is actually quite far in front of you. So the center of gravity ends up being like here by the time you lift it up. So you only need to like lift it back over to yourself like that. And I think Zercher would help kind of just like this sort of motion. And yeah, the biceps are still quite beat up. So I'll try and add in another day of just like bicep curls with huge extensions, because I did feel like my biceps being a little bit uncomfortable. And I'm lifetime natural, so I think like my strength to tendon ratio is pretty normal. I'm not like lifting crazy amounts, but it was definitely one of those things where like when you're like hugging those things and you're doing the walks, you're just like tensing so hard, and there's so much like pressure coming here that you are a little bit scared of tearing a bicep. Definitely won't happen, hopefully, but yeah, definitely not something to fuck about with. So I bought a couple of like bandage tapes so I can work a bit harder. I'll be able to use them on Friday, so that'll be nice. And yeah, I might do maybe like a Husafell shield carry, because at this point there's a bit of doubt that's in my mind of not how easy it is, but just sort of like, yeah, like is my bicep and forearm up to the task? You get me? So it's like I'm still quite a newbie at this, and I need to kind of know what weak points to train if I don't have access to the equipment. But yeah, still having one other thing I did mention, having so much fun with the stones. So genuinely, it sort of it brought back almost that like newbie gym gains with your mates kind of deal, where you're just like, oh mate, I reckon you can, fucking put 110 on the bar and I'll deadlift it, and then it's just like, you're just kind of like messing around and trying out random things, and it's really cool with the stones. Are like that's sort of how it is. It's almost like a bit of a puzzle, but it's just a rock. But like the way you talk about it is sort of like a puzzle of like, oh, if you tilt it like this and flip it, then there's like a handle you can get here, and then if you like extend your right knee first, then you can like get it under. So I don't know, I do kind of enjoy that aspect of it. So I definitely think this might be something that if in the future I might keep in, or just maybe like a skill that I have of if I go on a walk and I see a big friggin' stone, I can just kind of have the wherewithal to pick it up and say, yeah, that was fun. So that's sort of my summary of it. Yeah, muscularly quite fatigued. You should expect to have to dial back other bits of your training in my very limited experience here. That's about it for this session. I'll, come back once I've done Friday session.